A title is at stake in the WNBA. It's the Commissioner's Cup final tonight between the New York Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx, and we will preview the game and the cup on the line in just a little bit. But we use this time to reset. Off day of the W yesterday, just the singular cup championship game on this Tuesday to look at the season in its early goings. And we do that now with Myles Ehrlich joining us here on this Tuesday on the early line, senior writer for Winsider, covering all things around the WNBA. Myles, we appreciate the time. Thank you for being here on this Tuesday.
Thanks for having me. Excited to do it.
So let's look at this season so far. Of course, there has been more attention than ever on the WNBA. Sometimes the discourse has been a little bit insane and not focused on the actual action on the hardwood. But with that notoriety comes the eyeballs and the conversation around. Myles, we do things here from the basketball perspective and the odds perspective first and foremost, and we focus on where things are. Nearly 20 games, nearing the halfway point of the 40-game regular season in the W. Right now, the New York Liberty, last year's runner-ups, the best team in the WNBA, 15-3. But the Sun and the Lynx also there with 13 wins, and the Seattle Storm also joining them in double digits. When you look at the rosters and the table right now in the WNBA, what has the story been to you so far to begin this season?
So it is kind of what you referenced at the jump, which is it's the rise in popularity. It's the growth of the sport. It's anecdotally, it's having conversations with people everywhere who are tuning into games for the first time. It's looking at Liberty merch everywhere around Brooklyn, and not just on game days. It's going to the park and seeing it, the extra broadcasts, the longer programming, more storytelling. And I looked at Across the Timeline, which is a terrific resource for all things W, an average attendance that is at its highest number since 2002. And it's built at a significant rate every year since the pandemic. So this is the growth that I've been anticipating since I started covering the sport back in 2019. And it's just awesome that all of that's here, even with, like you said, some of the discourse that isn't always basketball related.
Yeah, it's really fantastic to watch because a lot more fans are being brought into the tent by this awesome rookie class. But if we are taking a look at the standings here in the WNBA, it's great to see some of the parity. Top three teams with 3 losses here, then that middle of the pack. But one of those teams here that we take a look at the middle of the pack is the Aces at 8-6. Are we surprised here, Myles, that we're taking a look and saying, you know what, the Aces in the middle of the pack as opposed to the front of the pack right now?
It's surprising, yes, because you never expect to see the Aces that low, but also no, because they were without Chelsea Gray, their point guard, until very recently. Since Chelsea has come back, they've won 2 straight, and that's with her coming off the bench, but they've just looked like a different team. They just look much more comfortable with her on the floor. And I think that they're going to just rebound and be the team that we expected. And with 4 Olympians going to Paris next month, it might not be the worst thing that their minutes have been down a little bit and that they haven't been in as stressful and as high pressure situations so far.
Yeah, before Chelsea Gray returned for Las Vegas, the Aces had dropped 3 in a row, their first 3-game losing skid since 2019 in 4 of their previous 5. And then you saw what Chelsea Gray brings to the Aces. 16 minutes in her season debut off the bench, 7 assists as the orchestrator of that offense. And despite, Myles, the struggle, at least throughout the regular season, in all things comparison-wise for Las Vegas, they remain the title favorites at plus 135, the 2-time reigning WNBA champs. But not all that far behind. The team Las Vegas edged out last year, the New York Liberty, at plus 190. 4 teams at this moment with 3 digits next to their WNBA championship odds. In your estimation, Myles, how many teams can realistically win the WNBA title this year?
So I think that 6 teams can make noise in the postseason. Las Vegas and New York, like you said, but also Connecticut, Minnesota, Seattle, and Phoenix. With the amount of talent on those rosters, any of those teams can win a playoff series. That being said, assuming that these teams are healthy come playoff time, I don't know if I'd go beyond the Aces and the Liberty. There's something to be said for the number of mismatches they can create all over the court, and these 2 franchises still feel to me like they're on a tier all their own.
If we are taking a look at some of the best players on the best teams, which leads us into the MVP market, it seems like we might have a runaway here with jaWilson, a minus 290 price here at the FanDuel Sportsbook, followed by Collier, Thomas Stewart, and Jones. Are we looking this as Asia's to lose at this point here, Myles?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was a lot of discourse about one voter last year putting Asia in fourth place in a 3-horse race, and that seems to have motivated her this season. She is leading the league in scoring at 27.8 points per game, which is nearly 4 points ahead of Arike Ogunbowale, who's in second place, and she's pulling down a league-high 11.6 boards a night, all while being the hub of that Vegas defense. It's also just the intangibles that Asia brings. It's her leadership, it's her charm, it's her jocularity. Any sports league would be happy to have Asia as their signature athlete. So she's just doing it all on the court and off the court. It just feels like there are some good seasons happening, but nothing is coming close to what Asia has been doing in Vegas.
I mean, look at those numbers. Asia Wilson. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Myles, please.
I did want to add on one thing to note, though, is that it's been over a decade since a team that hasn't finished top 3 in the standings has had the MVP. So if you are looking at that, I do think Asia, between the narrative and just what she's done, might transcend that. And we can see Vegas go off on a dozen-game winning streak in the second half. But that is something to keep in the back of your mind if you are thinking about this from a betting perspective.
That trend perspective, always a good thing here on the early line. jaWilson won the WNBA MVP in 2022, felt rightfully spurned a year ago, and we've seen that in her performance. Nearly 28 points per game, over 11 rebounds throughout this season. Myles, you mentioned what she means for the WNBA as a whole. Her playing style on the floor, what is the reason for jaWilson's dominance each and every night within the WNBA?
She's just such a consistent scorer. And I think that that's around the rim. That's her mid-range game. And she's just gotten better and better. She goes left. She goes right. She seals so deeply. She runs the floor. It's really everything that you could want. And now that you're bringing back Chelsea Gray is just one of the best passers who's always looking for her. Asia's got great hands. She just does it all. And I think that kind of consistency, that kind of stability is what you need if you're going to have any chance at not just repeating, but then going for 3 in a row.
Myles, let's take a look at this rookie class that has been absolutely sensational here, bringing in the ratings and certainly the play to back it up. You take a look at Caitlin Clark here, 16.3 points per game, 6.6 assists per game, 5.4 rebounds per game, and Rookie of the Year odds here coming in at a minus 950 price. If we had to assess the early part of Caitlin Clark's career, is it about what you expected, or is she exceeding expectations? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't know the last player that had these kind of external expectations put on them. But Caitlin is pretty much exactly in line with where my expectations would have been. 16.3 points per game is 16th in the league. She's 5th in assists, like you said, with 6.6. The three-pointers, she was shooting 14 a game when she was in college, and now that's down to 8 a game. So she's only making 2.8, which is still top 5 in the league. But the percentages aren't quite where we would love to see them. I think what we've seen from Caitlin recently is that she's getting more comfortable on the court and that she's facilitating more. She's taking fewer shots, but more efficient ones. So I think we're seeing her learn in real time, which is exactly what we should expect from a rookie. So it's been overall a success. And now that success is starting to come on the court as she kind of gets more comfortable.
It was a grueling stretch to begin the year. 11 games in 20 days, reflected in the Fever's record as well, 2-9. But as things have settled down, both for Caitlin Clark and Indiana as a whole, 5 wins in their last 7 games in the last 17 days. We'll talk about the rest of this rookie class and preview the Commissioner's Cup with Myles Ehrlich on the other side of the break, live right here on this Tuesday on the early line. There's been historic marks for more rookies than just Caitlin Clark this season in the W. Break it down up next. Myles Ehrlich, a senior writer for Winsider, joining us here for a second consecutive segment on this Tuesday on the early line. And Myles, the last 2 Sunday afternoons have kind of been the encapsulation of this rookie class in matchups between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. 3 matchups this year between these 2 franchises, all 3 decided by a single point. 2 of the 3, or all 3 decided by single digits, 2 of the 3 by a single point, including this past Sunday. And what a game it was in the Shy. Between the Sky and the Fever, Angel Reese, 25 points, 16 boards. Caitlin Clark, 17 points, 13 dimes. We showed you the stats this year for Caitlin Clark, the hefty favorite to be Rookie of the Year in the W at minus 950. If anybody is going to catch her, it seems it will be Angel Reese. 8 consecutive double-doubles here for the Chicago Sky on this run. That's the most we've ever seen in a row by a rookie in WNBA history. 25 points, 16 boards on Sunday. The first 25-point, 15-rebound performance by a rookie in the WNBA since jaWilson back in 2018. Donnie asked you, is Caitlin Clark matching the extremely high expectations in her rookie campaign? Myles, same exact question for Angel Reese.
Yeah, so I think that not only has Angel Reese exceeded my expectations, I think she's exceeded the expectations of a majority of the front offices around the WNBA. She dropped to 7 in the draft, and I think it won't be very long before we look back at that as a big mistake. All that being said, my questions going into this were not her motor, it was not her rebounding ability, it was her ability to finish. And she has been lower on the field goal percentage side, but she makes up for that with just her grit, her hustle, everything that she was able to do in college, shooting from these weird angles and getting it to fall. But we've also seen growth. And I think that's credit to Teaspoon and to her staff, is that Angel was not just looking to draw fouls the other day. She was making post moves. She was going around contact. And I think that's that sign of growth that we're seeing now. Like you said, 8 straight double-doubles. She's now second in the WNBA behind jaWilson with 11.1 rebounds per game. This has been amazing just to witness. And if Chicago can make a playoff push, then that plus 600 odds that you were talking about doesn't feel as long as they would have before the season.
Myles, if we take a look at some action on the court tonight, we're going to talk Commissioner's Cup. Before we get into the game itself and the participants, for the people that don't know, explain to them what the Commissioner's Cup is and what's at stake today.
Sure. So the Commissioner's Cup started, this will be the 4th season, and it's an in-season tournament, which is kind of like we just saw for the first time on the NBA side. And for this, in this new format that started this year, there was a 2-week stretch where every team played every other team in their conference once. So there was a 2-week stretch where it was 5 games. And from those 5 games, the top seeded represents each conference. So the Liberty are going back there for the second time in a row after beating Vegas last year. The winning team earns $50,000 per player. The losing team earns $25,000 per player. So they already got paid to be here at this point. But it's a nice little addition in the middle of the season. And yeah, the Liberty hung a banner last year for winning this Commissioner's Cup game. So it's something that both these teams take very seriously, but especially when you think about the rookies on that team who can use a little bit of extra cash.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Liberty knocking off the Las Vegas Aces last year. The Aces winning it the year prior, the Seattle Storm back in 2021. In the first year of the WNBA's Commissioner's Cup. But of course, as Myles just explained, a new format this year. One single game, a championship on the line tonight. The Liberty a 5-point favorite against the Minnesota Lynx. And Myles, when you look at these two teams, two of the hottest right now all across the W, how do the Lynx and Liberty match up in the Commissioner's Cup title game tonight?
I am very, very interested to just watch the 3-point defense from both of these teams, because these are two of the most prolific 3-point shooting teams in the WNBA, but they're also two of the highest defenses, two of the best defenses, especially on that perimeter. And when you look at net rating, the Lynx are first, Liberty are second. But you look at scoring, Liberty are first, Lynx are third. It's everywhere. Opposing scoring, Lynx are first, Liberty are third. So I think that there's a lot of evenly matched stuff going on both sides. What it's going to come down to for me, though, it might be the rebounding. And that's something that the Liberty could not lean on last time. So Jonquel Jones, I think, is just a player to highlight. And the Lynx are 10th in rebounding percentage and the Liberty are second. That's kind of the largest gap between these teams.
If we are taking a look at some of the props to have fun with tonight, you're taking a look at Stewart and Collier, the leaders here at the FanDuel Sportsbook at 19.5, and also similar numbers here to win the MVP of the Commissioner's Cup. We see Stewart at a plus 290, and also Collier the same at a plus 290. What we can anticipate, and also some players that you might be interested in watching tonight in this game.
Back to the rebounding. Jonquel Jones, the Liberty are 17-0 in regular season games when she double-doubles. So, like I said, she dealt with that foul trouble. But the connection on the Liberty side between Sabrina Ionescu and Jonquel Jones, especially lately, has really had the Liberty playing at a different level. Sab has assisted to JJ 52 times. Everyone else on the team combined has done it just 44 times. So if those two are cooking, it's good for New York. On the Minnesota side, Kayla McBride is knocking down 3.3 threes per game at an absurd 46.4%. Bridget Carlton, who has never knocked in more than a three per game, is averaging 2 a night on 43%. So it's that shooting on that side. And obviously, like you said, Stewie and Nafisa are really always going to be in the middle of it all. So I think that there are scorers everywhere, there's talent everywhere, there's Olympians everywhere. So this is really exciting. And when you look at the odds, it's Sabrina is averaging 20.8 points per game in 10 June games. So she's been really hot for New York.
Sabrina Ionescu was huge on Sunday in the Liberty's victory. 26 points for Sabrina Ionescu in that one. The veteran in Double J, Jonquel Jones, has been huge this year for New York. And you mentioned Nafisa Collier, 21 points per game, virtually over 10 boards as well. Myles, final question quickly here in the final 30 seconds of this segment. You making the trip out to the island at UBS Arena for tonight's Commissioner's Cup game?
Yep, I'll be there. And I've never been out there for a basketball game before, so I'm excited to see what it looks like. And I hope that the crowd can make the trip as well, because this was kind of a last-minute switch.
Yep, it is the home of the New York Islanders, but I've been to UBS before. A great arena for a sporting event. Myles Ehrlich, a senior writer for Winsider. We appreciate the time. Thank you for being here on this Tuesday, going all around the W.